addiction impacts an individual's health, their finances, their family, and more. We've assembled some of the leading minds in our community to discuss the many consequences of addiction. Guys, I'm really glad that all of you have participated in this episode on consequences, and now is kind of a time for us just to kind of go back and forth and discuss maybe some of the stuff maybe we either missed or something that we want to get out in this. And so I'll kind of start off, and one of the things that I was thinking about, Judge Hecker, was a big thing that we talk about, and we've talked about it on almost every episode that we've done, is the Good Samaritan law. I think it's important for everyone to understand it and to hear it from different perspectives, and obviously coming from you as a judge, we can really get the kind of straight from the horse's mouth what the Good Samaritan law is.
So Maryland passed the Good Samaritan law, I want to say probably 3 to 5 years ago. I don't remember exactly when it was enacted, but essentially what it did was to decriminalize conduct for individuals who might assist another individual who's using substances, right? So friends who are at a party, for example, and one of the friends overdoses, will, without fear of prosecution, be able to contact law enforcement or emergency personnel and get help for their friend without fear of retribution. I think it's made a critical difference in terms of not only giving individuals an opportunity to make smart decisions without fear of being prosecuted, but sending a message to the community that we're treating this as a public health problem rather than a criminal problem. I really think it's made a difference and impact in the community.
Yeah, I do too. It goes along with the consequences, knowing that you are not going to have criminal consequences for being in a situation like that. And I think it definitely saves lives, and we need to get it out there. Joe, as someone who is in recovery and have been in active addiction, do you think that people that are out using really believe that's the case?
I do think they believe that is the case. It's just, as anybody in active addiction would be, they're a little paranoid about anything legal. But I mean, it's my understanding that like if EMS were to arrive on scene, if police were arrived on scene, that people wouldn't be charged with possession or paraphernalia or anything like that. And when I try to break it down to people, because I do deal with people in active addiction on a regular basis, that as long as you don't have a warrant, you're good. Call them. And if you do have a warrant, call them and then leave, because then they'll still come out. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's
good advice.
Yeah, for the most part, people know. Because I remember my day, it was like, just say they're out, say you saw somebody on the sidewalk, just put them out on the sidewalk in the front yard, and then he's not on your property. Like I remember people jokingly talking about just throw him over the neighbor's fence and then we'll call 911. That way it's not on us, because nobody wanted to get charged with that because people were scared. So, my advice to people was always just, if you don't have a warrant, you don't got to worry, because I mean, what else is there? I mean, and if you do, call in and run away.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that that's filtered out, that message is filtered out to the population that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. That's encouraging.
One thing I've noticed, because Carroll County was, I think actually the first county in the state of Maryland to have an overdose fatality review team, mm-hmm. where all across the different agencies we get together and talk about the different cases and folks who have died, so you've already dealt with them, and but we go back and kind of look at the situation, and I think the Good Samaritan law has really made a difference, because we find, my impression is that the scenes are not as often sanitized, people are getting care, they call faster, which is the big thing, that if there's an overdose, they aren't worrying about the consequences as much, those consequences, they should worry about other consequences. And I think I've seen that.
It's good to know. Personally, I have 4 boys. at the age of high school and college, and where the overdoses are happening. And they go to the parties, and I've been to Tim's meetings, and that you hear that $20, right? They want $20. What do they want that for? Food or something else? And they go to these parties, and if they know that, Judge, that hey, Jim just overdosed, let's call help.
Yeah.
And they're not going to get in trouble. Don't be afraid. Reach out. We all make mistakes. We're all there. We're all in the same boat, man. Reach out. And if those kids are together and you have a friend or a non-friend or whatever that did the overdose, call. Don't be ashamed. Don't be shy. Call the authorities in so they don't end up at the funeral home. And that's good to know. I probably heard that before, but I didn't know that. And that's something that I would tell my family, and my kids.
Yeah.
Help,
It, it helps people learn and grow because, as you say, we all make mistakes and things happen. But if we can respond quickly, and then we can turn an overdose fatality into an overdose survivor.
Yep. And not at the funeral home, right?
Not at the funeral home.
So,
I don't know.
No.
Is that okay? It might take away from your business.
That's okay. I'd rather not get that call in the middle of the night or that day of
Yeah.
some loved one that's, and you probably have heard now, the medical examiner is, 2-3 weeks out, 300 autopsies out. It's because of some staffing and COVID, but the
Overdose
rise of the
deaths,
overdose. And right now in the funeral business, when some family comes with a loved one at the medical examiners, and we used to be able to have that loved one back to the funeral home within a day or two. Now it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And how, every day that family's calling saying, when can you pick up my child? We don't know.
Yeah.
And it's hard.
You see their faces.
You see their faces, and it's nothing we could do. And like I told you before, we treat everybody the same, from a young person to an older person. We help them out, and but it's hard. So many overdoses of fentanyl. With Joe and I was talking, it's so easy to get,
And hard to avoid.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
There's-
It just occurred to me, Tim, that the Good Samaritan law is really an extension of what Joe knows this, what we preach in drug treatment court all the time, which is accountability and honesty, right? We want people to do the right thing. We want people to tell us if they've done something wrong, be honest about it so we can try to help them. And the Good Samaritan law allows people really, I think, to make smart, good choices. And really, they're being accountable, right? Because they're looking out for their fellow man, their fellow woman, right? So,
right.
Well, and that, thinking about drug court, it was prior to drug court, for me anyway, getting honest with legal meant doing my time. There was I was like, why would I tell on myself and try to get help when I'm going to end up doing my backup time instead? And thinking about the overdoses and talking about the Good Samaritan law made me think of Narcan distribution.
Yeah.
And your
Right,
boys,
right.
they could easily take Narcan with them.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to obtain at your local health department. I know some health departments offer virtual training. And I was literally at a hotel today where somebody fatally overdosed last week. And the woman kept on saying, she pointed at the camera screen where she's got little, security camera. She's like, I keep seeing her there. She said the girl was so beautiful. She kept seeing her there. And, and we got her Narcan. It was after the fact, but still now she has Narcan.
I think even in the funeral home business, I think the funeral homes want to get the Narcan and learn about doing that, because
Yeah.
it could happen right there at the funeral home.
Yeah.
And
Do you guys have
We
Narcan?
don't, and that's
Yeah.
something that, Tim, that I would really
Yeah.
like to
I
ask for some
definitely
help.
will
We'll get
reach
you the
out.
number.
I
Yeah.
would like, and this is what happens. It's discussed, reach out.
Yep.
I
That's it.
didn't even know that was available
Yeah.
for us.
And any business could have and
I
stock
think
it.
that's something that would be very important for us to have.
I do, especially, with some of the funerals that are going on. You just never
You
know.
just never know.
I think
No.
it's very important to have that.
No.
So, guys, we have 1 minute,
Mhm.
1 minute left. And what I want to do is get each one of you just to, if you had just some advice for the viewer, whether it's a parent that's watching and maybe has a child that is suffering from addiction, or it's someone watching that is, what would be some advice that you would give them? And we'll start with Dr. Taylor.
Okay. Just helping build the human connections, particularly we talked about the medical system, but medication-assisted recovery, the medical system can be part of the recovery, but not the whole recovery. Yeah. It's not the be-all and end-all. It's one way to build the human connections between people.
That's good. Jim?
I think reach out, call somebody. It could be your best friend, it could be it could be anybody. Reach out and talk. You're not alone. You're not alone in this. Everybody has it going on. You see a lot of people just don't go out anymore or hide a parent because they're so embarrassed or afraid that the child is going to overdose. And I just personally, I have a friend of mine that I'll call up every once in a while and say, how you doing? You don't have to talk much, just listen. And when I need something, I call upon his service. And just a little hug. Just say, hey, I'm here. Please, don't hide in the house.
Yeah.
Step out. Everybody knows what's going on. You're not alone.
That's
And
good.
there's help.
Thanks, Jim.
Like I told you, reach out to anybody. Reach out to the funeral home before we have to do the final burial.
Yeah.
We're there for you.
Thanks, Jim.
But reach out.
Joe?
My little piece of advice would be stop the shame, stop the stigma.
Yeah.
That's what blocks people from getting help. 1 in 3 people are affected by the disease of addiction. So, we're all obviously familiar with it, but even the people that, it's not right in their face still know somebody.
Yeah.
So if somebody's reaching out for help, just no more stigma, no more shame. Be open, be honest. That way you're not blocking people from getting help that they need. And watch the type of language you use when talking to people. That's a big thing. There's a big difference between a person who uses drugs and an addict or alcoholic.
Yeah. That's good. That's real good advice. Judge?
Tim, I would say that if you or a family member find yourself in the criminal justice system, understand that the court has a lot of tools at its disposal, that punishment is not the only option that courts look at. We're very interested in trying to help an individual who has a substance use disorder or addiction, and avoiding the problem is not going to help. So you have to address it head on, and the court will do what it can to try to rehabilitate a person and help them get from point A to point B.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Judge. Thank you guys very much for coming out and spending some time here, and hopefully some people got some really good information, and I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
The long-term effects of addiction can come at a high cost, both physically and financially. But with the right help and a focus on recovery, you can put your life back on track.